And I wrote a grant to look at the feasibility of doing basically what Baltimore had done here. And I had a board member who's just a great board member. And he's, so yeah, we could do that. And then at the end of the time, we'd have a document that tells us it will work or not. Or we could take the 25,000 and buy a boat and try it. And at the end of that time, we'd know if it works or not. And if it doesn't, we'd have a boat to sell. And if it does, we're on our way. So guess what we did? We bought the boat.
Where do you find a family of communities connected by the storied Mississippi River, where young explorers and dreamers, investors and entrepreneurs thrive? Where can you connect with real people living and creating in a place that's as genuine as it is quirky? QC, that's where.
Welcome to QC That's Where. I'm Katrina, your host, and today I'm here with Kathy Wine, the Executive Director of River Action. Kathy, how are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you.
Yeah, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for your time today. I know that you are very, very busy, and River Action has a lot of things going on this summer and year to year. But before we get into that, I want to take some steps back into the past, and I want to talk about Channel Cat. So for those who aren't familiar with the Channel Cat, the Quad Cities has a water taxi that kind of navigates to and from across the Mississippi River between Illinois and Iowa. There are 4 docks that pedestrians can get on and off of. So Kathy, I will throw it to you. Channel Cat, how did it start?
Okay. It started, the idea of it, when I was in the Baltimore harbor at a waterfront conference, and we were on the water taxi there, and it goes several spots along the harbor, all in the city of Baltimore, of course. But I came back and realized, we could enliven our waterfronts by going from Moline to Davenport to Rock Island to Bettendorf, so on. And I wrote a grant to look at the feasibility of doing basically what Baltimore had done here. And I had a board member who's just a great board member. And he's, so yeah, we could do that. And then at the end of the time, we'd have a document that tells us it will work or not. Or we could take the 25,000 and buy a boat and try it. And at the end of that time, we'd know if it works or not. And if it doesn't, we'd have a boat to sell. And if it does, we're on our way. So guess what we did? We bought the boat. And along the way, and this is where Jeff Nelson comes in when he was talking about it at the dedication the other day at the new dock. He got on board with us. So did the community development director in Bettendorf, Davenport, Moline, Rock Island. All of us started looking at where to get a pontoon boat that would serve us, how to get the Coast Guard to okay it before it gets in the water, make sure we've covered all our bases with what is safe for a passenger vessel, because this was kind of a unique thing, not a fishing vessel, but a passenger vessel. We'd need a captain, we'd need a certain number of the deckhands, depending on how many people we had on board and so on. So we got going with that. And in 1995, we brought it down to Moline, their 4th of July Riverfest, and we launched it July 4th, 1995. And
were there jitters, or was it nerve-wracking? Were you excited? How was that day?
Oh, we were skipping. We were so excited. I mean, that was really fun. We brought a lot of us, took a lot of us up to Bellevue where it was built and brought them down for that inaugural cruise. But and we had already in place all the docks. That was the other aspect of it, that we were, besides monitoring the building of the boat, we had to monitor the docks where we were going to take it. And the cities had done that. We were really pleased with all of that, all the docks in Moline, Bettendorf, Davenport. And so did it get off to a rousing start? Well, that was interesting too. We had created brochures to tell people how they could get on, that we had a a really good plan for commuters, recreation folks, that we had room on the boat for bicycles so that people could take advantage of the trails on both sides of the river. That was always in the plan. But it took a while for people to realize that this was going to be a reliable, always at the dock when we said we'd be, even the staff on board or the crew. Well, it's raining. Well, we're getting you a raincoat. We are going to be where we said we would be every time at the dock. And that's what built it. And when we were finished with it, River Action at this point. I mean, this is kind of what I got my MBA. I had never planned to run a business, but this is what it was. You know, we had bought a boat. We were in business. We had to get all the permits, all of the aspects of insurance and employees and training and all of that. We ran it for 3.5 years. And by the end of that time, we did have the ridership we needed. And so it wasn't hard for Chef Nelson to see this does belong at MetroLink. We are a water bus. We are at the docks when we say we're going to be picking up people. We also know how to maintain engines and things like that. So we can manage the maintenance. And that turned out to be wonderful. And so after 3.5 years, River Action handed everything over debt-free to MetroLink. And then they've made it even a bigger enterprise. They have taken the Mercury outboards that we had and given them the boat's diesel engines. He has continued to build them. Now we have 3 instead of 1. The rest, as they say, is history.
You know, along the way, did anybody at the beginning say, Kathy, that's not going to work? Are you crazy? Can we do this? You know?
Yeah, I forgot that little. Because besides having the board member going, well, we could build a boat, and then at the end, that was the prevailing thinking. But I had a very respected board member who said, Kathy, that's just something an accident that's waiting to happen. I don't know if you should be doing that. And he was and someone who understood the river too. His industry and business was dealt with the river and the river currents and all. So we did take that seriously.
Yeah.
But putting in place the many measures we did with training, with the Coast Guard's oversight on every aspect of the hiring of the captains, they had to have the right license and training and so on. We did go forward with it. And we had one of those times in August. I don't remember what year that was. It might have been 1998, but there was a derecho that we were caught out in the water. Well, again, our trained captain handled it very well. You always put your boat in going upstream, and you anchor as close as you can to the shore at that point. He did that. He held the boat with the motor running as fast and as hard as he could against that wind, against upstream. And everybody was fine, and the boat was fine. So we have put safety first, and I think people have the confidence that we do that. So yes, we went ahead, but there were cautionary comments and
naturally, it's, from an outsider's perspective, it seems like a well-oiled machine, and it's very convenient. And I think it's something people can take for granted. I'm not a native to here. So when I moved here 10 years ago, it was already well in progress and in action. Right. And so it's just always something to me that's been around. But, if I take a step back and think, wow, this is a lot to operate, and this started somewhere. And I'm so happy to talk to you about this because I'm fascinated by it, because it seems like such an undertaking that appears to move so smoothly. So yeah, when you say, yes, there were people along the way that, were like, maybe not, it's amazing that you were able to forge ahead and get something off the ground that's like not only fun for leisure and if people come into town to visit, like, oh, we can ride the Channel Cat, that would be fun, but it's also a community asset, you know, especially in the umbrella of MetroLink, of public transportation and getting people to and from work, you know, what have you. It's just such a community asset that I can't even fathom trying to get going.
Well, and it also builds community, I think. We do something now, not operating it as I said, MetroLink does a wonderful job, but we have it 2 mornings a week, Tuesday, Thursday mornings, and we hold classes on it. And that's another thing that's building community, because we can talk about all the aspects of our heritage here on the river, our history, culture, but also the industry, also the natural resources. This morning, the boat is out with Dave Mercia from the Wapsie Center. He has on a miniature owl, a raptor. He's talking about all the flora and fauna on the river. We're talking about a lot of things that create a sense of place for our community. And I think it creates that as well, as being a handy commute.
Yeah, and you're talking about the Explore the River series?
Yes, yes.
Channel Cat Talks? Okay.
Yeah, we charter the boat 2 days a week,
Yeah.
on Tuesday and Thursday mornings.
So what do you guys, do you have like different programming every time, or is it if someone
Yeah.
were to come 2 weeks in a row, would they get different information, or is it the same?
No, it's all different. Every week
okay.
it's different.
Very cool.
We do have the same lecture on Thursday that we have on Tuesday, partly because sometimes people miss it for some
Sure.
reason. Well, they can catch it on Thursday. And if we ever have a rain out and we have to cancel, and that's something that the captain always decides, if there's lightning, it has to be canceled. We have a rain date of usually a Wednesday and put everybody on that date. Yeah, so that's how, but each week it's different. So we have a lot of programs, and you can find them on our website, riveraction.org/explore the river.
So what other programming do you guys at River Action? Let's settle into River Action for a minute. So before we get to what I just asked you, so as the executive director, how long have you been in that role, and like what's your personal mission as part of River Action?
Yeah, I haven't been in the role of executive director forever, but I am one of the founders of River Action 40 or 38 years ago. So that when we looked at the riverfront at that time, there was a 2-mile stretch on Ben Butterworth Parkway that was a bike trail. And we saw the need for access to get people to the river. I mean, the riverfront is for you, we kept saying to people. And so we set out to do that with Ride the River. And after we had a successful ride, we decided, we also did a survey after doing a year of activity called the Year of the River. After that, we did a survey as scientific as we could on 34 phones in a real estate office. How many of you knew what Year of the River was, and how many of you participated in it? And 86% knew what it was, and 84% had participated in something during that year. Again, Ride the River, we did a play about the river. We did a series of design competitions with Iowa State University 5th-year students on landscaping, on what the river could look like in the future, the riverfront more specifically. Anyway, so we thought, we know now that we're onto something, and 3 of us that participated in that decided to start River Action. So that's what we did, and that our mission has always been to enliven the riverfront with activities, teach people about the health of the river, celebrate it in lots of ways. So yeah.
So the Channel Cat Talks is one piece of programming that you guys offer.
Yes.
Floatzilla is another thing that's coming up every August. Can you talk to us about that? I know every year is another attempt at a world record, which
that's right,
which it holds for largest raft of canoes and kayaks, correct?
That's right. That is correct. And we have increased our numbers over the years, but we haven't gotten really close to the breaking the record. However, this year we have reinvested and more money in our marketing, more in our event managers' time and so on to actually go after it very, very seriously this year. So I hope this will be the year that we will, because we have a lot of things going for us this year for that.
What does it look like this year? Is there anything going to be different, or is it, if someone has been to it before, what will they experience this time?
Well, we have partnered with the Alternating Currents, and which is taking place that weekend, and that will be kind of exciting. Official Alternating Currents launch down on Main Street with music there, and so it starts off with that. We have a lot of launches, and we're geared up to do it for any age. Yes, of course, we have all ages, but any talent, any experienced paddler that can. I say that all the time and I can't say it now, but anyone with any amount of experience can find the right launch for them, and so that it will fit and be a pleasurable and fun paddle. It's not a race. And it lasts all day. Everyone that wants to can go through the locks. And when we end up at Lake Potter, we have some terrific food trucks. We have entertainment. We take the big photo with everyone in the float. So that,
I want to ask about that. So I've never taken part in Floatzilla. I hope to do it someday, maybe this year. But
this is the year.
This is the year to be part of it.
Yeah.
So
get a team together.
Yeah, the classic image that everybody loves to look at is that overhead of all the canoes and kayaks got just glommed together. It's artsy looking, it's fun, and it's kind of like a staple image of the Quad Cities that we love to share at Visit Quad Cities. So what does the coordination look like to get all of those people like touching together?
It's kind of hard. Sometimes they've called it like herding cats, but because every individual is in a kayak, and we have to get a semblance of order about it. We have over the years, Joe Marino, our center, he brings his own flag. Everyone identifies with that, and we say you must start around Joe, and then after that you must hang on to the kayak next to you so that you're together and tied together. And that's if there's a kayak off to the side close, but not the hand doesn't extend to the next kayak, it doesn't count. That one would not count. So getting everyone there by the time of the photo is important, because again, this is not a race, and some prefer to stop along we call it the Rock Island Beach, just below the Centennial Bridge, and maybe have a snack, just a cold drink, or just rest a little or whatever. And they may daddle too long and then not be there for that photo. And we're so anxious to have them all there for the photo. So there's that aspect of it. It doesn't take away from the major fun, which is there's no motor vessel out there, no barge, no towboat, no pleasure boats that are creating a wake. You're out there with kayaks and canoes, and it's such a wonderful paddle. Once a year, you can do that.
How long does it take a canoer or a kayaker to get from the starting point to the end point, the photo and everything?
Yeah, well, we allow about an hour, unless it's something so short that you're coming from Credit Island, and that's just across the way. But if you're starting up at Empire Park, which the most experienced paddlers are doing, it takes a couple hours. And depending on how many are coming through the locks, and you might have a little wait outside the lock, that has to be taken into account too. But it can be done in the morning. and get there in time for lunch. The photo is at 2. And then after that, that's when we start the buses back to where you started. So we have a zillion buses, everyone can get on and go back to where they started.
Perfect. Yeah, I would like to do that maybe this year. It's always looks so fun, and it's history every single year. There's always new participation, and it's very cool. I wanted to step back. We mentioned a little while ago about the four docks at the Channel Cat. How the most recently renovated one at John Deere Commons, was that the original dock?
Yes.
The Channel Cat. Okay.
Yes.
So it was really cool. Jeff Nelson, as you were mentioning earlier with MetroLink, he was kind of giving the history of everything. And he mentioned that you were the idea lady. I don't know if you heard that part, but I don't know. I thought that was so cool. Is that something that you kind of have accepted as, as founder of, Channel Cat Idea and like one of the founders of River Action?
It is, Katrina. In fact, I often, when I'm out raising money and all, I kind of point up the fact that River Action is a small nonprofit. We can take risks where cities can't. No city was going to try that, but we could. So it's like we're a catalyst for change is what I call it. We started the bridge lighting on the Centennial Bridge and still maintain it to this day. We started the trail building, which we did with Ride the River, and then the kiosks and the historic markers and the things like that are along the way. So when we start a program right now, we're in the fourth year of the Quad City Flood Resiliency Alliance, which we've organized with 26 communities to help them become enrolled in FEMA programs like community rating system and lowering flood insurance costs. We went out and started a program for measuring first floors of people who are in the floodplain to learn if maybe their first floor is out of the floodplain and they don't need the expensive insurance. Things like that. We can start. We're a small group that a city can't. They can join us, they collaborate, and they do. But that's been our credo from the beginning.
It's a really special mission that River Action has, and it's so necessary having an organization that's an advocate for our river. The Mississippi River is such an important piece of our geography and how we function here as Quad Citizens. So we really appreciate it. Visit Quad Cities, everything that you guys do. Along the way, do you have a highlight moment, be it, through River Action or, through Channel Cat or a collaboration or anything? What kind of stands out to you?
Oh, there have been a lot actually, but probably, well, I'd have to include the lighting of the Centennial Bridge. We had both governors here on the boat. We had who threw the switch on the on the lights, and it was a collaboration too. In fact, the first time that we ever tried to raise any big money was that. And so that probably was the catalyst for us. This is what we're supposed to do. We can go out, and if we stay credible, we have to do what we say we're going to do. But with that, we did. And then we started our other projects like trail building and the Channel Cat and some of our education programs. And we did.
What's been one of the most challenging endeavors that River Action has taken on?
It's probably been this first bridge project because while we had a National Park Service rep from St. Louis here one day, I was showing her what was the original embankment for the first 1856 railroad bridge, which started the Transcontinental Railroad and all of that. And she said, oh my gosh, these are usually bulldozed down. I can't believe this is what we usually call a national treasure, that you still have an original. We still have a rail sticking out of it from the 1856 railroad bridge. So that became clear to me. I'm going to try to get this berm. It was owned by a citizen who lived in Chicago. So we had to start negotiating. Is there a way we can get this donated to River Action. And in the end there was, and we got it donated to us. And then we started a Kickstarter campaign to get people excited about it, and that went well. But we've been challenged along the way with some issues in the River Heritage Park in Davenport. There are sewer issues under the area they had determined was going to be the berm for the drop down on the other side. And until those are cleared up, it's been stressful, and we're anxious about it, and we want to get it moving and keep it moving, because fundraising goes better if you keep the momentum going. But we've had to stop until those issues are cleared up.
Yeah, there's so much below the surface, so to speak, that, you know, I think the public doesn't see, and, you know, anyone who's not in your shoes isn't aware of.
Yeah.
So every project that you guys take on, every program you create, it's like, you know, there's just so many steps to make it happen, and yet you guys have persevered and made so much happen. So we really appreciate all the work you're doing.
Well, thank you. Yes. Yeah, we try not to give up. I mean, that is another credo of ours.
So last thing I want to
There's a way
ask
to figure
you,
it out.
I'm so sorry, what?
There's a way to figure it out, you know, there's always a way.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if money were no object, if sewer lines were no issue, if there was no problem, what would you want to see River Action take on, or what would you like to see happen with the Mississippi River?
I don't get asked that question very often. But I do think we have a lot here. We have a conference every October, and this is when it comes to mind for me. We should have a Mississippi River Institute here. Come here to get your work done. We have the Corps of Engineers. We have a Coast Guard office. We have DNR, Illinois DNR offices. We have wonderful communities that have worked on riverfront, and wonderful engineering firms and so on. And River Action's got a lot of experience. So has Chad Bogracki with all his work. We are a place where we could archive and have the kinds of connections and networking that's possible for anyone wanting to get things done. I mean, you brought up the Channel Cat and the water taxi. I've had numerous calls through the years. We want to start a water taxi. We heard you did it. What'd you have to do it? And I've kind of put that together, a timeline, you know, and how. But I mean, that kind of thing, I think might be another step to take.
That's super cool. I knew I would get something very interesting out of you idea-wise, and I think that's very doable. Because you're right, we do have like all the resources here.
Yeah.
The hub is here.
I know it. We've got the Army, we've got the Coast Guard, I mean, and the Corps. I mean, these are geniuses. Yeah. And you talk about solving problems. These engineers know how to do that. It's so thrilling to work with them. So yeah, we, you know, whether it's stormwater or flooding or any of those issues. And back to the aspect of our place being a good place for Mississippi River Institute, Davenport's the largest city on the Mississippi without formal flood control. And they've worked out some really innovative and wonderful designs for improving stormwater and things like that will bring down flood levels. River Action does all kinds of education. We sold 5,500 rain barrels to people to keep down flood levels. Yeah. So we'd be glad to share it, I guess.
Yeah, it could all be here. That's great, Kathy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
At this point, I want you to fill in the blank. QC, that's where.
We broke the record for the largest float.
That's right. Thank you so much, Kathy.
Yeah.
River Action, you can get involved, riveraction.org. You can check out all events going on with River Action and all over the Quad Cities at visitquadcities.com/events. And thank you again, Kathy, for your time. We will see you next time.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to QC, That's Where, a podcast powered by Visit Quad Cities. Text Visit QC to 38314 for insider events, activities, and updates sent straight to your phone. That's VISITQC, one word, to 38314. Message and data rates may apply.